Welcome to Godzilla-THON, Godzilla versus Biollante. This film came about from a contest where Toho allowed the general public to submit ideas for the next Godzilla movie. A direct sequel to 1985, and it even has, in the opening credits, scenes from 85. Godzilla's fallen into the mouth of Mihara, and we see some cool world building in the beginning. A Godzilla alert system, different stages that his activity's been confirmed, but there's no physical signs. The second stage is that his voice is heard or movements confirmed. The third stage is he's been sighted, but Japan's not in imminent danger. And the fourth stage is he's heading towards Japan. Great bit of war building. In this film does a lot. It's got corporate espionage. It shows the political ramifications of Godzilla and that his skin cells, how they're regarded as a commodity because they can make a bacteria out of them that can eat nuclear energy. And it does so much and it works. In another one where the characters are phenomenal. This one introduces Miki Sagusa, the single best female character in the franchise. The plot is, again, a lot goes on in this one. To give you the condensed version, there's a whole court international thing going on with Godzilla cells. They're considered a commodity. A professor who's working for a country called Saradia, an Arab country, is waiting on the Godzilla cells to get to his lab because there's some taken from Japan in the beginning. The lab blows up and his daughter dies, and he somehow sliced some of his dead daughter who died in the explosion, some of her DNA into these roses. He's kind of crazed. And when it becomes aware that Godzilla, it's imminent that he's going to break out of the volcano, he agrees to help make the bacteria, but he wants the cells in his lab for the day because an earthquake, because of the volcano, destroyed the roses, and he thinks he could save his daughter's life. And we also see the beginnings of the Godzilla Force in this one, in that their building is like an abandoned warehouse that's being renovated. One of the guys in it, his office still has broken windows, and it was like a foreman's office. And there's actually an oxygen destroyer prop replica in his office. Cool stuff. And there's an American company called Biomajor. They want the cells. They actually place explosives at the volcano, and you give us the cells or we're going to free Godzilla. So the government decides to give them the Godzilla cells. Well, they get attacked by the Seradian agent, and the bombs blow up and Godzilla is set free. We get to see the new Super X2, which is submersible, remote controlled, so no one's putting their lives in the line being in it, and has a heat mirror that can reflect Godzilla's heat rays, something they'll perfect in a later film, which is another thing I love about the Showa series. The movies are just so interconnected. One of the scientist characters has kind of a love interest, and there's a side plot that he might be going to America to study. And he's involved in making the Godzilla cells. There's two military personnel, Colonel Gondo, who becomes kind of important to a later movie, and this other guy who's in charge of the Super X. He's like a young colonel. And there's a lot that goes on in this plot, so it's kind of hard to describe, but the Super X fights Godzilla. The heat mirror does work, but it can't stand up to Godzilla's heat. Later on, Miki Sagusa, the psychic character, she attempts to use her ESP to delay Godzilla's arrival in Osaka, and it puts her in a coma. There's another fight with the Super X where it gets destroyed. They manage to shoot, they get the anti-nuclear bacteria back, and they manage to shoot it into Godzilla. Before all this, he encounters Biollante for the first time, which looks like a big rose. Godzilla wins the fight, and they figure out that the anti-nuclear bacteria is not working because Godzilla's temperature is too low, so they use this thunder control system that creates artificial lightning and rain to raise Godzilla's temperature. After that scene, Biollante shows back up in her final form, and this is a short battle. I was disappointed as a kid that the battle was so short, but Biolante's so big, and that's probably 2 men in the suit plus a ton of wires and everything else to move her, that I can understand why it's short, and we don't get to see ultimately which one is stronger. Biollante has impressive attacks like a kind of hybrid heat ray / acid spray, but Godzilla stumbles into the water and falls headfirst in it because of the bacteria. I do like the character arc the professor that created Biollante goes through, because at first, when he's confronted by the press, he's arrogant. You people always criticize scientific experiments without understanding their merits. We scientists have to look to the future. And at the end, after the fight, he's humbled, and he talks about how Godzilla and Biollante aren't monsters. It's the unscrupulous scientists that create them. He gets killed by the Seradian agent. The one other guy, the one scientist, chases him down. And they get into a fight, and the agent steps on one of the buffer things for the thunder control system, and he's going to shoot him, and the colonel hits the button and vaporizes him. We see the bacteria didn't kill Godzilla. He goes to the sea, and we get a scene, and this pacing is odd. It's with the one scientist and the girl, and she's like, well, you're going to America. He goes, no, I'm going to stay here because people are the same wherever you go. There's good and bad in every country. I haven't slept in ages. I'm going to sleep. And she asks, you care for company? And he asks if you snore. She goes nonstop, and they laugh. And it like freezes for a second. And I think that's where the credits were originally supposed to roll. And then it focuses on some of the military. And then you see the scientist who got killed, Dr. Shiragami. You see his body and see a little monologue. And then the credits roll, and you see it pan into space, and you see Biollante into space. This is a great movie. The plot is hard to describe. I highly recommend this. It's one of the best in the franchise. From what I understand, Toho did a poll in Japan, and the Japanese people actually voted this one as the best of all the Godzilla movies. Must see, must own. Stay tuned next for Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, dislike. I'll see you later in the next review. Over and out.